Hey guys, it's Colin. I really appreciate you stopping by. Today, I'm going to give you my personal take on the pros and cons after 15,000 miles in 3 years on my 2017 Harley Davidson Street Glide Special. And before I do that though, I'm going to do a walk around of the bike and show you guys everything that I've done to it. Little history of this bike. I originally had a 2016 Harley Davidson Street Glide Special. Had it for about 10 months, and that was the 103 twin cam. And I loved that bike. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was actually my first tour after coming off of Fat Bob. But then I decided to do a test ride of the Milwaukee 8. Needless to say, as you could see here, I ended up purchasing the Milwaukee 8, and that was the 107 at the time. And you know, I think the payments only ended up being like $12 more a month, so it's kind of a no-brainer. So I said, I'm going to do it. Now, saying that, I've done a couple upgrades since then. Now, I will tell you the 107 is still plenty of power. It's a good engine. The Milwaukee 8, I love it. Haven't had any issues with it whatsoever. But I knew I wanted a little bit more power throughout the entire band. So I went to stage 3, and that's what this is right here. Now, the stage 3 will give you probably, I think it's like 35, don't quote me on this, 40% more power total. I think stock, the 107 was around 85 horsepower, if I remember right. And this takes it up to, I think, 110 to 112. I know it all depends on like different numbers, so there might be some differences out there, but for the most part, it's like a 35–40% improvement in power. And I will tell you, that is accurate. It is extremely powerful, especially what I found, even though it's through the entire power curve, what I have found that especially from like 35–40 miles to like 60 miles per hour, you just touch the throttle and it goes. You ride it at more, the 3,500–4,000 is when you shift, whereas stock it's more probably like the 3,200–3,300. So huge difference, loved it, but that was my biggest upgrade. Some other things I've done on this bike, which I do not understand why Harley Davidson still does this with the Street Glides. They have halogen lamps still. So I've upgraded my entire lighting system from Custom Dynamics, where I have the vent light right there. Also did the headlight, the 2 right and left turn signals, your fog lamps down there. Also did fairing lights, just kind of a different accent light there. I did the latch lights on the saddlebags. And on the back side, added a couple extra things too. Got the sequential turn signals there, the low profile ones, which I really like. The tri-bar, and then I changed this up. When you get a Street Glide Special, it gives you the little reflector right here. I put a mini light on instead, and I love that. And the turn signals. And I also have the interior saddlebag lights as well. I also picked up the luggage rack that came with it. And then I ended up doing 2 different seats. So the stock seat, I ended up going with a tall boy. Now the tall boy sits you back probably about another 1.5 to 2 inches from this one. And this is a Harley hammock. Problem is, it didn't give me enough back support. Now I have issues with my back. I've put this in other videos before, so I needed something that had a lot of support. So I ended up going with the hammock. Problem with the hammock is it raises you up about 1.5 inches, and it's really kind of gaudy looking as well. Whereas the tall boy is a little bit more slimmer and it sits you back, but still, even saying that, I still don't feel cramped up here. But this seat is awesome. I'm really happy with it. So got the rider backrest, put that on there. Did an adjustable backrest, and that's for helping me. You know, most people really don't probably need an adjustable one, but I did it so like I could push it forward. It actually helps my support on long rides, so that's why I got it, and I actually do that all the time. It helps out. So some other things I did is I put on a couple small parts. So I put on the fuel cover here, that wasn't stock, and I think that's it. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned this, the Reinhardt Slip-Ons I did as well. Those things are nice sounding. Let's see if I can turn it on real quick and let you hear it. I'll put it on neutral here. Nice rumble sound, I like them. I'll be riding you soon, don't worry, we'll go out on a ride. I call her Alexa, named after Amazon Alexa. I try to get her to do things for me, like Alexa, turn on the motor. It doesn't work. So that's pretty much it for the upgrades. I mean, it's a significant amount of things. I have done a couple other small cosmetic things I might have not mentioned, like highway pegs. I changed those up. I did heated grips. That's kind of important. And yeah, those are great. I love the heated grips. They make a huge difference, especially for me because I have issues with cold weather, and that helps. I don't have heated seats or anything, but the grips for sure make a difference. So let me now take you around and give you my pros and cons of this Street Glide special. The debate will always continue on. Road glide versus Street Glide. I went with the Batwing. I test rode a Road Glide and I just didn't like the look of it, one, but I didn't like the feel of it compared to the Batwing. Nothing wrong with the Shark fairing, nothing wrong with the Road Glide. I think they're great bikes, but this one suits me. So I'm a big fan of the Batwing fairing. So like that is probably one of my favorite things about this bike. I just like the overall look of it. You know, the look of it, it's not as pointy, let's put it that way, with the Shark. So I do like that. And it actually helps a ton with wind protection. I know a lot of people have said when you're on a Street Glide, you feel closer because the fairing's right up against you. And that is true. Your fairing is close, but it doesn't bother me at all. I like it because it actually helps with like touchscreen. It's very easy access just to touch, even though you can use all your buttons here. You really don't even need to do the touchscreen. But regardless, it helps me with buffeting. I don't get a lot of wind off this fairing. I like that my hands here, I don't get a lot of wind, especially like in cold weather. You're not getting that wind right on your hands. So the fairing protects you with that. Once, I've been told this by a couple riders that ride Street Glides, that, you know, it comes, I think Harley has like one of those 5-inch windshields. So I ended up upgrading, I forgot to put that in my original upgrades. I bought a Freedom Shields windshield, and I believe this is an 8-inch version, and love it. It's great, and I hardly get any wind buffeting at all. Now, obviously, if the size of your windshield is going to be completely different depending on your riding position and the size of the seat. So one thing I did notice, I mentioned earlier how I went from a tall boy seat to the hammock here. I probably could use a 9 or 10-inch shield now because that hammock raises you up about an inch and a half. But regardless, it still works fine. I don't get a lot of buffeting. You know, I love that we can let the air flow right out here. So I really enjoy riding on long distances because it feels very comfortable. It's like really streamlined. So another pro about this bike, honestly, is just the simple look, the simplicity of it. I like that, you know, this is good and bad, I guess, a pro and con. I like that it doesn't have a tour pack, even though I'm in the market right now for getting a detachable tour pack for when I do 2-up riding or long distance riding. But that's coming soon. But for now, I just like the look of it. I like the look that I can change out my seat. I can actually go through, and if I really want to get that tall boy seat back on, I can take this off, I can take off the backrest, I can take off the luggage. Very, very simple to do. It doesn't take any time whatsoever, just a couple clips here, and this comes right off. So just that kind of stripped down look of it, I like. You know, it's kind of like a basic touring model, and it's not loaded with your tour pack, which kind of does add a lot of weight to it, adds a different look to it. The other thing that compared to like a ultra limited, I don't like lowers. I've never been a fan of them. Some people love them. You know, I'm tall. I'm 6'4". I have a 35-inch inseam. So I like having the foot space, especially on the left side. You know, even though my highway pegs are here, I like being able to kind of put my foot out, and I stick it under actually between these bars. So I stretch out a lot, and by not having those lowers, lets me do that. So that, you know, most people are saying, well, you know, I can't believe you'd want to get rid of lowers because it helps with wind protection. You can add some extra storage and stuff. But regardless, that's what I like. Oh, side note, somebody has asked me this, if this ever gets in the way of my leg, just a little. So it barely touches my right leg. So I've gotten so used to it, but it's not in the way at all. Some people would think with the way it sticks out like that, that it's a heavy breather. It doesn't. Another pro, I just love the way this thing rides. It's so damn smooth. You know, shifting is smooth, just everything about this, I just really, really enjoy it. I can't speak about it enough. You know, you might have that with other Harley Davidsons, but with this one specifically and with the Milwaukee 8, I've just found that it's so smooth riding, very effortless, not clunky, so I enjoy that a lot, along with the look of it. I've heard people say that this bike is really cramped for like tall riders. I disagree. You know, it is lower. It's lower by, I think, 1.5 inches, 2 inches, if I remember right, than the Ultra Limited. So people that are tall say, oh, I might like the Ultra Limited more. With me being 6'4", I don't have any issues. I actually like that it's lower. Your lean angle is a little bit off. You know, it's a little bit different from the Ultra, but still, nonetheless, still no issues. All right, cons time. I said it was a plus earlier, but now I'm going to say it's a con, because it doesn't have a tour pack, especially if you're buying this thing for long distance riding. I'll tell you a quick story. I went on a group ride with some friends of mine recently. They all had tour packs. So I got a little envious of them because you have space. I have a luggage rack. I can obviously put on some luggage, but it's so much easier with a tour pack. That's why I'm going to end up going with a detachable one so I could take it off for those long rides. But still, not having it standard, but that's what it is. It's a stripped down bike. You know, you're not gonna have that tour pack, but you still have the luggage rack. But nonetheless, that is a con in my book. Now, it's not on this bike, but on standard or on the new Harley Davidsons, and even this one too, the headlights and the lights in general, halogen. It's just, you're spending that much money on a bike. Just freaking upgrade to LEDs, Harley. It's not that difficult. The shocks are just okay. I mean, I'd call it a con. You know, what's funny is, I think this is funny because I came from a 2016 and Harley Davidson upgraded their shocks. So I thought, hey, this was an improvement over the 18. Then you can do the preload adjustment and all that stuff. But then I took a ride. I got to stop taking riding on friends' bikes who had some Oleans on it, and forget about it. It was like a huge difference in the ride. Unfortunately, they're another $1,200, but I wish Harley would upgrade their suspension a little bit more, especially now that riding those other ones, that would be a big thing I would appreciate. I talked about it earlier, that sometimes it's a pro, but for some people, having that fairing up close actually might be a con. It's all preference. So like, that's why it's so great to get on a couple bikes, test ride them, see what fits you well, because depending on your seat and depending on where you're riding, you could be kind of up a little bit. So with this, having this close, you could kind of feel cramped. And some people might not like that. So with the Road Glide, it's a little bit more space, and the Ultra Limited, a little bit more space. But you kind of sometimes can feel cramped. I don't specifically on this one, but I've heard that from other riders. The stock seat, no. I'm not a fan of the stock seat. This isn't the stock, this is the hammock. Hardly any support. I mean, if you're riding kind of like short distances, and again, personal opinion, but I think they could do a lot better than the stock seat that comes with the bike. I shouldn't have to upgrade. I think it should have more support, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, it kind of about right here from a support standpoint, and look how much more I have just by upgrading the seat. Storage, you have your saddlebags and that's it. Now the saddlebags do work, but there's not a lot of storage options. Obviously, if you have lowers, you can get an option of having extra storage on that. You can also get the, what are those, like the windshield storage things. I tried that once, had it on for a day. I didn't like it because it cut so much of the windshield off. So I ended up not going with that. But still, all they give you is this right here, this little thing that you're supposed to put your phone in, which I never do. I use the tech mount thing. But how hard would it be if they redesign this to make this a storage thing? Put like a garage door opener. It's not too much to ask. But that's what you get when you kind of get a stripped down bike. All you have is your saddlebags. And with me upgrading to get a tour pack on those long distances, I think that will help. So what'd you think? You agree, you disagree with my take? Again, it's all personal preference, completely subjective. End of the day, I absolutely love this bike, and I hope to ride it for many more years to come. Now get out there and ride, which I'm about to do right now because it's like super hot out here and I'm dying. Be well, and I'll talk to you guys soon.